Right. The only thing that comes to mind right now is this is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
Amen.
So, I usually try and stay in the background. This is a new position for me to be in. So just bear with me. I'm second generation here, legally, through Ellis Island. And I'm originally from New York. And I am the epitome of Southern Belle, as you can tell. I read a quote the other day that I'd like to use as a disclaimer before I go any further. It said, don't be politically correct. Strive to be politically direct. Let me stop quickly and take a real quick poll with a show of flags. Who here thinks that they are part of the greatest generation? I see 3 people that are really proud of their greatest generation. So I would like to take you back real quick. In high school, a really long time ago, I wrote a term paper on this subject. The assignment was rather simple, and it said, what is the greatest generation and why? So here's a peek, a scary peek, into my 17-year-old mind at the time. It said, being a disgruntled member of Generation X, I've always been bothered with the thought that society couldn't find anything good nor unique about people my age. I've often wondered if we ever will be recognized for anything worthwhile, since we know an X stands for the absolute unknown. Whether used as a signature of slaves that couldn't write or may have been stripped of their identity, or as the universal symbol in algebra for the missing variable, X has even been used as the substitute of Christ and Christmas. As we head to college and take hold of our future, it is our turn to decide what legacy we, Generation X, will leave. Who knows, one day in the history books of America, that Generation X may be known as the generation of crossroads. My hope is that I meet the expectations set by those that trailblaze before me. And that is a scary peek into my 17-year-old mind. So now I'd like to fast forward to present day. Let's see. I finally graduated high school after receiving a D on the paper that I had cited above. My teacher felt that I did not answer the question appropriately. I survived college, I got married, and then had kids. I recently paid off the last of my student loans, and shockingly enough, for a kid that never got into trouble, as an adult, I cannot seem to stay out of trouble. How does that work? I believe this point in time, the X factor, or the missing variable, this is our Esther moment. For such a time as this is the time to stand, to fight, and to defend. Esther 4:14 says, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your Father's kingdom will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? I'll let you in on some shocking truths that I've learned along the way. Some lessons were harder than others. Abortion, same-sex marriage, and marijuana are legal. But guns, God, and sugar are illegal. Honesty is the new hate speech. Quoting the founding documents is considered dangerous speech. Standing in your faith, well, let me clarify. Standing in the Christian faith, standing in the armor of Jesus Christ makes you a freak. And if you're not a freak, you are definitely labeled a phobe of some sort. When these statements are the new norm, what choice do we have but to grow up and decide which road you will choose to represent you? We're at a crossroad. Our values are being destroyed with every bill that passes. Our culture is being destroyed every time they step into our schools and try and educate our children. We constantly hear, educate the children. It's for the good of the children. But I implore every one of you, don't just educate your children, educate yourselves.
Amen.
So are you ready for some more hate speech? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. There's your hate speech, the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. When it says these truths are self-evident, you need to have some common sense. But first, you need to actually care about it. When you're endowed by your Creator, what exactly does that mean? It means you and I were given something by God. No man, no government can take that away. Only the one who grants rights has the authority to take them away. You and I, we have certain unalienable rights. And yes, I did practice that word. Number one, life. You cannot kill me. We have a right to live. Why are the lives of unborn children constantly being questioned and labeled as a platform stance? Murder is murder, whether you are 2 days into your creation or 2 days into your 68th year of life on your own.
Amen.
The second one, liberty. You cannot arrest me without a charge. I get to face my accuser. I have a right to a speedy trial. You cannot take my property. How many of you have heard of Agenda 21? Do you know how many of our elected officials have no idea that sustainability is a bad thing, and they are using our tax dollars to further this agenda? The third one, pursuit of happiness. You and I have the right to be whoever we want to be. Your money is your money. My money is my money. We can buy whatever we want, whether it's junk food, whether it's considered green, or whether we just want it. But as with any choice, there comes consequences. But if you've made that choice, that's your consequence, not mine. The collective right is not more important than the individual right. You have to live with your consequences. Understand that the Declaration of Independence serves as a promise. The Constitution was that fulfillment. We, the people, have a job to do. We were founded a republic if we can keep it. I serve as the North Carolina State Director for a wonderful organization, Icaucus. We are comprised of citizens that believe it is our job to take our government back one candidate at a time. Remembering the government works for me and you and you and you and you and everybody else that takes the time to vote. Through the Icaucus process, candidates, no matter what party they belong to, go through a rigorous, transparent, nonpartisan vetting process. First, candidates have to complete a questionnaire that covers several constitutional topics and must score an 80 or better. We do not deal with social issues, only constitutional issues. After a background check is conducted, the interview process begins with a panel of 3 to 5 people from within the candidate's district. Those are the people that the candidates need to answer to. After that, there's a 2-week caucus period where potential constituents get to listen to all of the interviews in the candidate's own voice and ask questions to that candidate. And then they cast a ballot to award the endorsement or decline. Now, I have to stop here real quick and toot North Carolina's horn a little bit. We have led the country in this process. Our candidates in this state have stood up and have subjected themselves to all kinds of questionnaires, interviews, background checks, and are not afraid to say where they stand on issues. We have endorsed, we've endorsed judges. We've had counties go all the way down to school board. we need to embrace, we are the boots on the ground. We are the fundraisers, we are the votes, we are the poll watchers, and everything else in between. If they do not answer to us, what would happen if we didn't show up? So with that, once a candidate is endorsed, the power of the nation is behind them. And I mean that literally. Right now, California people are making calls for our candidates in North Carolina. Once a candidate is in office, their voting record is followed and is graded. Remember, the pursuit of happiness, actions have consequences. Government answers to the people. We do not answer to you. We, the people, have to hold our elected officials accountable for their actions and their words that represent us. So when Ronald Reagan stated freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction, what generation do you think he was referring to? I believe the greatest generation is us. The torch has been passed from previous generations, and the eyes of the nation and the world are on us. The lost generation, the GI generation, the silent generation, the baby boomers, Generation X, cold, Y, Z, it doesn't matter what you are. It equals us. In 2 Chronicles 7:14, God's call to the world. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Are you ready? Yeah! Do not sit down. Let us not lose this battle because we sat down. To win this battle, get on your knees. See something, say something, do something. But whatever road you decide that is yours, stand in the full armor of God and know that God will bless America. Thank you.
Great comments, Wendy Gumpert. Let's hear it for her. Aren't you glad we have people with that kind of passion leading efforts across our state and across